Welcome back to another episode of Coaching One on the Boomer Bust channel. I'm your host Terry, and today we're looking at inside zone versus outside zone. Had a commenter suggest it, so decided to go ahead and look at that. And so, I should say, if you didn't see the first episode, go to the link in the description. You can check it out. But that was more philosophical. As we get into more X's and O's and schemes, I do just want to have that reminder out there that more than likely you'll come across different terminology when you come across different coaches. You might have coaches calling the same thing, the same technique or the same play, but they use different names, and that's very common. So just to let you know that, you might hear me call something one way that you've heard called something different, or that you've seen called differently. So that's just how it goes in the game of football. Everybody kind of comes up with not comes up, but you come up as a coach with your own language that's spoken by the people that mentor you. So there you go with that. And then on top of that, I'm not claiming to be an expert in anything. Of course, there's things that I'm stronger in than others, but this is just going into the basics of it, not going into too much minutia. So with all that, I wanted to make sure we pull up some film so we could go through it. I pulled up the LA Rams for inside zone and the Atlanta Falcons for outside zone. Going to look at a clip for each to kind of look at the differences, and they'll both be going against the Seattle Seahawks. Just wanted a common opponent just so you can see it. And so, yeah, we'll kind of break it down. So with all that said, let's go ahead and get started. And so, like I said, first we'll have LA Rams with the inside zone. And when we're talking about the difference in inside and outside zone, what it really comes down to is the attacking point. And so, the attacking point in the amount of aggression with the step, I would say. And so when we're talking about an inside zone, we want to make a zone, or any zone, we're going to make a zone step. So let's say this is whatever you call it, but it's zone right. So our zone step, we're going to take a zone step to the right. And so with inside zone, again, when we're talking about the attacking point, our attacking point is within the box. It's inside of the box. And the box meaning, from whoever's on the line of scrimmage to the in-man line of scrimmage. And so typically when you have an inside zone, as I mentioned before with the running game from the Bears, you're going to have the attacking point of the play side B gap, as they say. That's typically where you're going to see this play being ran. And so they're going to call it to the side where they feel like you're going to have the open B gap. Because what happens is this center, but behind the quarterback, and this guard, when he moves to the right, he's got this guy. When he moves to the right, that guy's to the right of him. And so they're going to combo from here to here. And that's to the open B gap. And then, of course, to the right of the right tackle is a kick out block. Now, backside to the right of this guard is that secondary person. To the right of this tackle's him. So combo here to there. And then in, usually you want them to be outside. This might cause a little bit of headache, but you essentially are going to kick him out as well. And so again, the typical aiming point is this play side B gap. Now, the thing about a zone is that you don't exactly have to attack where you designed it. The nice thing about zone is it gives you alternative options, why some running backs are better zone runners than other, And so if something happens where this linebacker shoots fast, or let's say he was standing here, now the play side B gap is option one is closed. The second option is typically the backside A, and it's the backside A because everybody's going to be moving, and so the play side A is going to move down, the backside A is going to move down, and that's the natural cut. And then lastly, you just got the cutback, which could be anything outside of here. And so that's typically the three-way go that you have. I'll I'll go through it slow motion, then I'll pause it. So, and the Rams like to do it from under center, which does give a nice timing, in my opinion, especially with the handoff, because you don't always know where the ball's going. And so that's just how the Rams do it, but a lot of people do run inside zone out of the shotgun, which is a little easier to read because the running back can only go one way from the shotgun. But anyway, so now that the play is started, you start to see where the zone is formatted. So everybody's stepping to the right. There's a zone step to the right, but the step isn't as aggressive as it would be in the outside zone because we are trying to make contact with these people. I'm trying to make a contact with the end man. I'm trying to combo this. We're trying to make contact here. We do want them to move towards the play, and that sets up the running back to have the ability to see where his cutbacks are. So if they flow hard towards the right to the play, that opens up the cutback. And if they, blitz or they stunt the other way, that takes them out of the play, and that shows me where I want to run. So either way, this is all about movement, but it's still more of an aggressive block. So if we continue on. So now at this point, what ends up happening, which is nice for the offense, is the linebacker takes himself out of the play. And now the backside A is closed because he's there, but now he left the play side B open, which is option 1. And then, of course, you look at the cutback. They have a guy on the edge, so the cutback's not really an option. And then the running back makes the smart choice as that plays out, and he hits the play side B gap. Now, another thing that was nice with that play is the lineman also being smart. And really, what you get is, again, these guys are responsible for these two. They're going to combo. And so what really should happen is 68 would slide or combo up to the linebacker. 65 would slide and overtake this block. But since the linebacker went back to the A gap, to the opposite side of the zone, they did the smart thing and let 68 stay with the block, and 65 just peeled off and took the backside block. And so that was the smart thing, because now you can't get the tackle from behind or anything else, and they're able to seal it. And so again, with the inside zone, you're just going to see a shorter step. You're going to see a more aggressive block, and you got an aiming point of that play side B gap. All right, so let's pop over to the Atlanta Falcons versus the Seahawks. And I picked the Falcons particularly that year. They went to the Super Bowl. They were very heavy with the outside zone, or at least that I remember. And they did a really good job of running it with Devontae Freeman. I want to call him something else, but Freeman was really good at that. And so we'll go through slow. And now again, so we're talking about attacking points. So with the inside zone, that attacking point was in the play side B gap, meaning the way you're stepping. So play side was right. With the outside zone, the attack is not in the box, it's outside of the box. That's option 1. You want to aggressively step to get to the outside shoulder of these defenders and seal them off. So think of like a toss play or anything else. This is more perimeter play. These type of zone stretches, you want to be able to get to the edge. And so naturally what will happen, there's kind of a 3-way go, but usually is more of a 2-way go. Because usually they're out of position and you're able to get the edge on them, and that's where you want to run. But typically, you'll also have everybody just really overreact, kind of like I talked about earlier, and fly to the right, and that creates a natural cutback lane. So really, it's like outside or cutback. But as you'll see on this play, there can be a 3-way go, depending on how they react. But what you'll see, even in slow motion, you'll see the lineman take a much more aggressive step. This isn't so much about contact as it is about getting movement. It's really about running and trying to make the the defensive line move with you. So what happens on this play that doesn't typically happen, I would say, is that you get a second option, and that's not up the middle, but you'll see that crease be created essentially where the tackle was, so like the C gap. And so what happens is you have a player that sets a nice edge and gets out wide, but then that creates this natural crease up inside the tackle tight end, which is the D gap. And so still an outside play, but creates this nice D gap lane because he went to where he's supposed to. Now, that didn't really matter on this play because let's say that corner didn't get in position. Let's say that or defensive back tried to blow up the D gap, then that just leaves the edge open. This guy blocks him and seals him, and Freeman's gone. So this is smarter, though, as a defense, because you push it back inside where your help can come pursue. If you just let them run free to the outside, there's no other help there. And so not a bad job by the defense, but I'll go in fast motion again, and I'll kind of pause it. But you see how much more aggressive the step is, and you see that the aiming point is to the edge of the defense. So around the handoff, again, we're trying to get here. We're trying to seal that, and then we're going to use this extra fullback to kick out the edge. We're trying to get to the outside of the tackle box, in this case with the tight end, but we're trying to get to the outside of the box. And like I said, usually you'll get an over pursuit, and then your natural cutback is here. So pretty much think like backside A gap, but really it's just whatever's here. Now, they caught them in the numbers game. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4 defenders on the backside. That means you don't have that many defenders on the play side, which is why they were able to get to the edge on them. So conversely, if you had numbers against the play side, what would have happened is you would have had nobody on the cutback, and the running back would have been able to cut that back as well. And so, yeah, there you go. So that, from a basic perspective, is the difference between outside and inside zone. So, but go to the comment section. Let me know if that was helpful. Let me know if that was helpful, if that made sense, or if you got any other questions. And yeah, thank you for listening.